going on, guys? DStyleBoxing here. This is late night. In fact, midnight over here. Midnight wrestling talk. Okay. Vince McMahon is out of touch. That's the title of this video. And I was hearing myself talk, so I apologize there. So I've had several requests over the last few months, actually, to cover some wrestling, because I haven't really talked wrestling that much. And for those that don't remember, I tried to follow Raw and SmackDown for a little bit, but then it just became unbearable because the product is horrendous, and I ended up, just not watching it. And how can I cover it if I don't watch it? SmackDown's 2 hours, Raw is 3 hours. That's 5 hours a week. Now, granted, you DVR it, you watch it on record. It's actually like maybe 3 hours in total, but that's still a lot of time. And then if you add pay-per-views to that, and if you add, special stuff into that, and if you watch 205 Live, it's another damn hour. Okay, if you watch NXT, there's another, hour, 2 hours? I don't have time for all that. I just don't. All right, so what I do now, I'll take a couple minutes of my day and I'll watch some stuff from their product on YouTube. All right, that's what I do. I just heard that AJ Styles recently regained the WWE title. That's a step in the right direction. I haven't even been watching the product, and I know that's a step in the right direction. Now, I do want to say this, and this goes to a lot of my boxing subscribers and fellow boxing enthusiasts. A lot of them don't like wrestling. A lot of them hate it when I bring up wrestling, right? But I'm not going to apologize. I'm just not. You don't have to watch these videos, all right? That's why it says wrestling in the title. It's not a misleading title. We're not going to be talking boxing here, all right? But with that said, this is just some random stuff. If you guys want to put anything in the chat, because this can go anywhere, okay? We can go anywhere here, so feel free to put whatever it is you want to put in the chat. Unplug this. I do not need the keyboard. Let me get that shit out of the way. We'll make this a tablet, and voila. All right. Okay. First of all, let me acknowledge some people in the chat real quick. 4901 in their hearts. Kobe's Corner sent me here. What's up, bro? Well, he probably sent you here for boxing talk, but that's not what I'm talking about at the moment. Kuruga, I haven't watched wrestling since the 1990s, bro. Holy shit. All right. So first of all, if you came here for boxing, I apologize. It's not the first impression you want. But hopefully you're a wrestling fan. Who knows? All right? And shout out to Guruga, okay? Shout out to you. Michael Anzalone says, hi, D-Style. I subscribed tonight while watching Kobe's Corner. I got another dude that was watching Kobe's Corner, and I remember because I was watching that feed, which I was confused. I guess he had a beef or something, and he said, go to DStyleBoxing. He has great boxing insight. And here they are, listening to me talking about wrestling. Interesting. I got some boxing content, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk boxing tomorrow. Anyway, let's talk some Vince McMahon here. Why I believe Vince McMahon is out of touch with reality and some of the outdated problems that I believe the WWE has. This is the year 2017, and Vince McMahon is still trying that old Sergeant Slaughter, gimmick. You remember, what was that, WrestleMania 7, when Sergeant Slaughter was the anti-American world champion? Yeah, how many times has Vince McMahon tried that? He just tried it with Jinder Mahal. Okay, Jinder Mahal fucking sucks, right? How long did it take them to take the title off of Jinder Mahal? Yet they won't give the title to dudes that have been busting their asses, putting on far better matches than Jinder Mahal could ever put on, have put on better promos than Jinder Mahal could ever cut, and they never get their opportunity. They never get their shot. I'm still trying to figure out how Jinder Mahal got this push, shoved down people's throats, but a guy like Ziggler never got that push. I'm trying to wrap my head around that. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. And that's one of the reasons I stopped watching, because it became unwatchable. Let's talk about some of the problems I had with the Jinder Mahal push. All right. Now, I know why he got the push, because they're actually about to go to this. They're about to do it, actually. They're going to go to this tour in India, right? And they were hoping that Jinder Mahal really resonated, okay, with the people of India. Because that's a country of like 1 billion people or something ridiculous like that, right? And they thought they could tap into that market and create a big star. And that's why they did it. Here's the problem. Here is the problem with the way they handled this Jinder Mahal situation. And when I say this, I honestly don't believe I'm exaggerating, right? Jinder Mahal was the most undeserving WWE champion of all time. Give me the name. Jinder Mahal is more undeserving, point blank, period. Why is that? Well, give me the name. Jinder Mahal is the most undeserving champion ever, right? Now, first of all, this is not about his abilities in the ring. I don't think he's that good. I definitely don't think he's the guy you should put the world title around. But has there been guys that are probably worse in the ring than him? Probably. Is it his promos? Or that ugly mug that he gives? Trying to look like the bad guy. But is it his promos? I don't think he's that great in the mic. On the mic, that is. But is he the worst ever on the mic? No. So why is he the most undeserving? Because of the way they did it. Jinder Mahal was a jobber. A jobber, folks. Jinder Mahal was jobbing week in, week out. That same year, this same year, before WrestleMania, we didn't even know what the hell Jinder Mahal was doing. Jinder Mahal was having random feuds and losing matches all the time. Before that, he was in the 3-man band, and he wasn't even the leader of the 3-man band. That jobber group. Then he came back all juiced up, all right? I mean, I don't know. Supposedly, they have a policy against steroids. I don't know about that. Now, not that it matters in wrestling, to be honest. Although Vince McMahon has gotten in a lot of trouble with the United States government. But I don't know. Something tells me that dude's juicing. But that's not here nor there, nor does it matter to me. But he comes back. He's jobbing. This year's WrestleMania, back in late March, early April, whenever it was, Jinder Mahal, right? And I'm trying to remember the name of this Patriots player. Okay, from the Patriots. I'm trying to remember his name. Jinder Mahal, okay, was embarrassed at WrestleMania. He did not win the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. If you're going to make him champion, you would think that would be the start, right? No, they jobbed him out at WrestleMania. They kept jobbing him out on Raw, right? His last match on Raw before they quote-unquote traded him, lost. They jobbed him out, okay? His first night on SmackDown, he gets jobbed out. He gets beat. Like in the middle of the show. on. It's not in the main events of SmackDown or anything like that. Not even that. And then let's take it a step further, right? Just out of the blue, out of nowhere, after getting jobbed out for weeks and weeks at a time, they put Jinder Mahal in a quote unquote 5 or 6 pack challenge, whatever the hell it was. What did Jinder Mahal do to earn a shot in this 6 pack challenge? I don't know. I don't know what he did. He was getting jobbed out week in and week out. Him being in that was ridiculous, but let's take it a step further. He wins this challenge, and he becomes #1 contender. That in itself was ridiculous. So he challenges Randy Orton for the World Championship, and what do? They have him beat Randy Orton. He becomes world champion. The best in the roster, the champion. Made no sense. It made no sense. It killed a lot of the aura that is wrestling, because while it is scripted and while we understand that it's predetermined and we understand all that, the story still has to make sense. A movie's scripted, but if it's a good movie, it needs to make sense. A television show that you watch, okay, is scripted, but it has to be a good script. You don't have somebody job in and job out, and all of a sudden they are in the main event and they're the champion. Just out of nowhere. All this was Vince McMahon's idea. Hell bent. Because he's convinced that the audience is stupid and isn't going to remember that this dude was a jobber for the last 5-6 years. Not a top contender. Jinder Mahal was never, not that I remember, on the main event of Raw or SmackDown his entire career until he won that stupid 6-pack challenge. Jinder Mahal was never in a main event of a pay-per-view, much less. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's the man. Something's wrong with that, especially when you look at the great writing that was done in the past. See, Bret Hart. You knew Bret Hart's story and his rise to the top before he challenged for the World Championship against Ric Flair. You knew about that story. All right? And when he won the title, you can go back and he can talk about that, about his days in the tag team division, becoming Intercontinental Champion, defending that championship several times, all these rivalries, and then hitting the world title scene, and then beating the reigning world champion Ric Flair. There was a story there. Stone Cold Steve Austin, in the press conference before WrestleMania 14, talked about the long road and the 8 long years that he's been clawing and climbing to the top for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to challenge HBK for the World Championship. See, that was a story you can tell. Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 12, the boyhood dream. There was a story to tell. And Shawn Michaels had been climbing to the top for years. Even guys that were considered rushed in the past. The Ultimate Warrior was on a winning streak. He became Intercontinental Champion. He defended the title several times. He was so dominant that they just declared him #1 contender, and then they did the champion versus champion match against Hulk Hogan. There was a script, of course, but it was a good script. It was something that made sense. The same with Savage, the same with any other great. There was a story behind that. Look at the guys that even were rushed to the top. Look at a Brock Lesnar. First of all, well, let's not compare Jinder Mahal to Brock Lesnar. But that aside, Brock Lesnar came in, first of all, had the look and the athleticism. That's number one. But number two, the story. He had that NCAA championship story behind him, right? And they were able to sell that because of Kurt Angle's amateur background. They were being Olympic gold medalists. They kind of took that ball and ran with it with Brock too. But there was a story there. Brock Lesnar had to. He didn't just immediately just all of a sudden become champion. They weren't jobbing him out, then he became champion. That's not the way it worked. He made his debut. He was having rivalries with some, I believe it was the Hardys, and then they did the King of the Ring. He won the King of the Ring. He had a rivalry with RVD, and then he faced The Rock. But there was a process there. It took months, okay, to hype him up and say he's number one contender. It wasn't just out of nowhere. Kurt Angle, same thing. Kurt Angle literally won every title before he got to the main title. So this is, the WWE had a formula for years that worked, and they got away from it. They got away from it. They had a formula that worked. This is why you have the Intercontinental Championship. You're not supposed to give you're not supposed to test something out with the World Championship. That's why you have the Intercontinental Championship. You test it out with that. And if it doesn't work, you just get the belt off of them and you give it to someone else and see how it goes with them. And people were able to foreshadow the future when they would see an Intercontinental Champion. And I think that guy, like when Hulk Hogan was on top of the world, Bret Hart was Intercontinental Championship, I believe. When, Shawn Michaels was Intercontinental Champion for a while when Bret Hart had his reign. Diesel was Intercontinental Champion before he had his reign. They've kind of skipped that part now. They kind of got rid of their own formula. Now, because now they just do whatever now. Now let's talk about why Vince McMahon is out of touch. First of all, he's out of touch with formulas that have always worked. Storytelling. That's why people tune in to watch professional wrestling. The storytelling. People know it's not a real sport. They're tuning in because of the storytelling. And if the stories aren't good, if they're bad scripts, if they're not consistent, a couple weeks ago, or 1 or 2, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, they had Team SmackDown attack Team Raw. They, quote unquote, invaded Raw, and they went to the back and they started to beat up all the members of Raw, right? The next week, Kurt Angle comes out, and Kurt Angle's all apologizing. Kurt Angle apologized. He apologized to the entire roster, saying he put him in harm's way. He said, "I'm sorry I put you in harm's way." While they just stand there talking to them like they're a bunch of victims. Yeah, you know what? You know what I told myself? You know what I wondered to myself? Why would anyone tune in to watch a bunch of fucking pussies? These guys are supposed to be imitating fighters, but they're acting like victims. They're locking the doors because they don't want SmackDown, the SmackDown guys to come and whoop their ass. When these wrestlers should be they didn't have one wrestler pick up the mic and say, "Hey, this is bullshit, Kurt. Get them in here now. I want a piece of them now." But maybe that's a little too logical. Who fucking knows, right? I've seen way too many instances where a lot of things just don't make sense. A while back, there's really is no, tune in next week for the following, whatever it is. Okay. It's just it's hard to explain, but they really rarely leave you with a good cliffhanger. Okay, they rarely they don't have matches that make sense. I remember one time John Cena was in a tag match, right? His tag team partner accidentally hit him with a chair shot. Cost him the match. This is a couple months ago. I honestly thought that there's going to be a rift between those two. The following week, hey, why'd you hit me with a chair shot? Hey, it wasn't on purpose, but hey, if you think it was, then maybe we should settle it now or something like that. No, it wasn't even mentioned. It wasn't even mentioned. So if you're not even going to mention it, then why do it? You're just going to just do it just for the sake of doing it? You couldn't come up with another finish? But anyway, why else is Vince McMahon out of touch? These wrestlers, okay, the characters are lame. Right? First of all, WWE needs to stop. It's 2017, people. They need to stop with the stereotypical wrestlers. Okay? Not every wrestler that's Mexican has to be a luchador. Okay? And not every luchador, like it's just crazy, man. I mean, this is crazy. If a wrestler is like Swiss, they got to go out of their way to show how Swiss they are. You got to act the Swiss way, right? If a wrestler's Irish, you got to make sure, Vince McMahon makes sure you act as Irish as possible. The way people think Irish people act, that's the way you got to act. If you're African American, so on and so forth. And what the fuck's up with the New Day? What's with that gimmick, man? It's a horrible gimmick. Unfortunately, they're over, and a lot of people like them. I don't know what the hell they see. It's a horrible gimmick. I honestly believe gimmicks like the New Day turn away more people than bring in. People want to tune into wrestling to see badasses, all right? They want to tune into wrestling to see dudes that can whoop some ass, believable dudes. That's why they tune in. They want to hear some shit talking, and they want some drama. Vince McMahon wants to turn everything into a comedy skit. Oh, it's wrestling. It should be fun. Ha ha ha. Yeah, there should be comedy in wrestling. That's fine. It just takes one time. You have a badass dance and you can kill that character, right? One time. Too many times, guys that are being billed and pushed as monsters eventually just become the laughing stock, okay? And they're put in some comedy skit, right, in the WWE. It happens far too often. Vince McMahon needs to get with the program and acknowledge that, or at least get out of his bubble and look around him. Wrestling has always tapped into what's happening in our society. They're not doing that right now. Like, they're not. Wrestling has to over exaggerate the drama that's happening in the real world, in the news. If the spokesman at the White House has better meltdowns than any heel on WWE television, then why do we tune into WWE television? If the president of the United States is more vulgar than any bad guy in the WWE, any heel, then why do we have to watch the WWE then? Just saying. Let's read some comments really quick. Let's read some comments. Colton, I don't know how much Vince puts into it anymore. I think he leaves a lot of his decision to his kids and Triple H. Vince had his reigns in 90s and early 2000s. That's when he was at his best. He's still running the show, man. He still calls the shots. Several wrestlers have admitted, hey, Vince told me to do this. Vince told me to do that. And when people don't do what Vince tells them, they get rid of them. It's just the way it is now. Jinder Mahal, Gino Titsas Cable. The modern day Maharaja, says Ben Omar. Cable, no, that's fucking stupid. Dude, the British Raw wasn't for play. No one from India liked it. They're marketing Gino Tits and the modern day Maharaja. Ben Omar says, shit, DStyle. Give the jobber some love. I'd like to see the Brooklyn Brawler win the belt. Yeah, the Brooklyn Brawler, could you imagine? Just imagine it's the 1990s. Just imagine this. I'm glad Ben Omar brought that up. Imagine it's the 1990s. Imagine that. And I don't know where the Brooklyn Brawlers put on the main event of Raw in a number one contendership match, and he wins. And on top of that, they put him on the pay-per-view, and he defeats Bret Hart at the pay-per-view. And they try to push him as this legitimate world champion. Out of nowhere. Oh, but he's not the Brooklyn Brawler anymore. He's the Brooklyn businessman now. He wears suits now. Nobody was going to buy that shit, right? Cable, even in the 90s, a lot of these gimmicky characters didn't last. Modern day Maharaja seems like a siren call of the gimmick of the 90s wrestling. Yeah, man. Cable, listen to style. Even if one is a jobber, multiple cycles of PDs and making friends in the writing department can do wonders to a wrestler's career. I believe that. Michael says, I wonder what Ronda Rousey's story is going to be, LOL. Well, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with her, honestly. Ronda's made for WWE, says Man in Water. People agree. Crime time, says Man in Water. They ruined Santino. His Russian killer gimmick was sick. I remember that gimmick. Bruno Santino, says Michael. They have ruined a lot of characters, man. The WWE. First of all, the best characters of all time, aside from The Undertaker, right? The Undertaker was Vince's vision. But I will say this. It has a lot to do with Calloway, the guy that actually plays the character, right? But that aside, every other gimmick of Vince has failed, right? Utter failure. Let's go down the list, right? First of all, he didn't create Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan already had that gimmick, okay, before Vince took a hold of him. Let's put that aside. So you can't get credit for Hulk Hogan, right? Bret Hart. Vince McMahon wanted Bret Hart to be a cowboy, right? Vince McMahon wanted him to be a cowboy. How far do you think Bret Hart's career would have gone if he was a cowboy? Yeehaw! You know? Bret Hart said, no, I'm not going to be a cowboy. He said, I don't even know how to act like a cowboy. Right? Like with, there you go. But look, remember the Smoking Guns, and there was another team. Like if people still dress like that, like in the 90s, like if it was the old Wild West, it's stupid. So Bret Hart, there you go. There was some other gimmicks that didn't work out for Vince. Right? There was some other ones that just utterly failed. Those are two that really, really stand out. Okay. He wanted to change Vader's gimmick. He wanted to give Vader a different name. Mankind was halfway his idea, but they had to talk him out of what he really wanted it to be. I think he wanted Mankind the Mutilators or something like that. I forgot what it was. But that was all Foley, man. Foley made that character work. And there's some other ones that I can't think of right off the top of my head. But Vince, he's had some terrible ideas over the years. Right? Some terrible ideas. Oh, man, sorry. I don't have my glasses on. I thought he meant Bruno Sammartino. Sorry. I'm really out of touch. All right. I'm trying to think, man, because Santino, he did a terrible job with him. They turned him into a joke. Okay, they put him in the women's division at one point. They turned him into a joke. They couldn't quite capitalize with a lot of these characters, man. They just couldn't quite capitalize. The WWE did horrible jobs with a lot of characters. Red Rooster, I remember that character. Okay, that character was a joke, right? There was some other characters that were just over the top that never really went anywhere, right? You might be able to give him Yokozuna, which was actually a Samoan dude. By the way, speaking of Yokozuna, I remember when I was a kid, like I believed it. Oh, he's a Japanese guy. He's a Japanese sumo wrestler, right? I believed it. If you go back now and see Yokozuna, it's like so obvious that he's not Japanese, right? Like it's obvious. It just is. It's extremely obvious. He clearly looks Samoan. It's insane. It makes you wonder, like, how did they get away with this shit? It's insane. It's crazy. But yes, I just wanted to address this whole wrestling thing. Why I don't watch it that much no more. I think the product overall is just garbage. I don't like the way they've forced John Cena down people's throats all these years for over a decade now. More than that. I don't like the way they're insistent on Roman Reigns. It's like everything they do is about Roman Reigns, about pushing Roman Reigns, about making Roman Reigns look good. And to me, it's just sickening. I'm just tired of it. Right? And I think Vince McMahon has to call it a day. Right? From what I understand, there's a lot of issues that Triple H has backstage. There seems to be some conflicts he has with Vince McMahon because Triple H is running, NXT, and he'll get some dudes really over in NXT, And when they finally go to the main roster, Vince finds a way to just ruin the characters, like put the brakes on his characters and really, really, really hurt these characters, right? So it's, I don't know how long that's gonna last, but it's time for Vince, man. It's honestly, it's time to just step to the side and let somebody else run this shit. And they have too many writers, by the way. I would write for the WWE for a fraction of what he's paying a lot of these dudes, right? And I honestly believe I'll come up with much better shit. I honestly believe that, right? Let's see what else we got. Michael says, I forgot the guy's name, but he used to dance a lot and he would make the person pronounce his name right. Remember him? Oh, Fandango? Or I don't remember, bro. Anyways, guys, don't want to dwell too much into this, of course. It is what it is. All right, watch an archive, leave a comment, tell me what you think. What is it that you like about wrestling now? Anything positive about wrestling? And what is it that you hate about wrestling? I really want to know. What would you like to see changed about wrestling? Like, if you don't watch wrestling anymore, what would you like to see change so you can be able to watch it again? Anyway, it's time for me to go to bed. Michael says storylines. Yeah, better storylines. I agree. This is DStyleBoxing. All right, we'll do some boxing talk probably tomorrow. See you guys. Peace.